This is all of it on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. If you've read The Power Broker, or even if you haven't, you probably know Robert Moses as the powerful New York urban planner. Now, imagine Robert Moses as a late-night talk show host, sans power. That is the premise for the monthly comedy show, The Power Joker, a Robert Moses comedy special hosted by my next guest, Sam Rogal. Sam is an improv comedian who plays Robert Moses as he interviews guests and musicians as if he was like Stephen Colbert or Johnny Carson. Past guests have included then mayoral hopeful Zoran Mamdani. How could Sam possibly make urban planning funny? You will just have to find out for yourself. The next show is on March 22nd at 5 p.m. at Caveat in NYC on the Lower East Side. Put me on the list. To preview the show and discuss his monthly series, I have now with me the Power Joker himself, Sam Rogal. Nice to meet you, Sam.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we go any further, have you read The Power Broker?
Yes, I have. Don't worry.
We had to ask.
No, I understand.
So what is your Power Broker origin story? When did you get excited about it?
So yeah, I read the book right when the pandemic started, as many people did. I had a lot more time at home, and I thought, why not read a book that is too heavy to bring on the subway? And yeah, for any New Yorker who reads that book, first of all, obviously it's an incredible book, deserving winner of the Pulitzer Prize. But it will make you furious. Yeah. It will boil your blood and curl your toes because so many of the issues that we face in terms of transit specifically every day were caused by Robert Moses. And then a few years later, my producing partner on the show, Evan Barden, read the book along with the 99% Invisible read-along that they did in 2024. And he came to me with this idea and was like, wouldn't it be funny to have this guy who was so powerful and controlling have to get like laughs in like a late night talk show style show? And I was like, I like that idea.
Why did you see potential in that idea?
I think it's just the juxtaposition of his policies with a modern audience, I think is just funny on a base level. And to have him, you mentioned Stephen Colbert, and I think that's a really apt comparison of like, it's very similar to the Colbert Report.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Where it's, Stephen is the villain of that show. I think I'm the villain of the Power Joker. And I'm also the butt of all the jokes, because we want people laughing at Moses and at his policies.
So part of this conceit is that he has lost his power.
Yes.
Where did you get the idea that Robert Moses would lose his power?
Well, he did in real life, and he's also dead,
And he's dead.
And I also think that, like, the winds have sort of, the book itself, Caro's book, changed a lot of people's opinions about him. Prior to that book coming out, he was seen as a positive figure, I think, in New York. Mm-hmm. And it took that book sort of exposing him. And so, yeah, for him to have to deal with the public's swing towards one time a hero and then becoming a villain. Yeah.
Why did you decide on a late night talk show as opposed to like a morning show or an afternoon show? I don't know. Why a late night talk show?
I just think the idea of him having to like do a monologue and,
True.
like bring on a guest who he just fundamentally opposes. Like you mentioned, we had Zoran on our May show, and basically all of his Zoran's policies are like the antithesis of everything Moses stood for, just an exact opposite. So just putting them together on stage we thought would be funny, just basically.
Who did you model the character after? Aside from Robert Moses, what other characters did you bring into the mix?
So yeah, I would say he's sort of, like Carson's a good comparison, sort of like a 50s like Borscht Belt comedian kind of a style, we wanted, Moses himself, we like watched some old interviews with him and he's sort of laid back and a little more like, he doesn't have like a big personality, at least in his public facing persona. So we needed to make him a little more bombastic and a little more energetic and something that matches like my strengths as a performer as well. So that was sort of our approach to the character.
We are discussing The Power Joker, a Robert Moses comedy special, a monthly show at Caveat NYC on the Lower East Side. My guest is comedian Sam Rogal, who plays Moses and is one of the show's creators. You can catch the next show on March 22nd at 5 p.m. Okay, walk us through the format of the show.
Great. Yeah. So, it's very similar to a late night talk show, right? We usually start with a sketch, like a little cold open, something related to whatever the topic is that we're discussing that night. Then we play like a 1 minute long video that just explains like who Moses is, the book, Robert Caro, just to allow anyone who in the audience who is not familiar to sort of get the baseline. I like to say, though, that like our audience is very educated.
I would imagine.
Yes. And when Caro comes up in the video, he always gets an applause break. I think we might be the only comedy show in the city where Robert Caro gets applause every time. He is also obviously our like dream guest to have on the show. He's a very hard man to get in touch with, but fingers crossed there. And then I will come out. I'll do like a short monologue, just like that's a little more topical, just like some jokes about what's going on. We'll do a little crowd work. Then typically we'll have a couple comedians who are our guests who will do like 5-minute pieces, again, either connected to the theme or connected to urbanism in general. And then we have sort of a longer interview with whoever our guest is. And, that's a basically traditional interview, except that I, as Moses, will just I'll be Moses-y during it, you know?
Be Moses-in.
Yes, exactly. And then we usually have a musical guest, and we play a game, and our big thing is having a call to action.
Interesting.
So our guests will bring something connected to their topic that is like, hey, if you want to help this right now, here is some cause that needs your voice, your support, your donation, whatever. Here is something where your voice can really have a big impact today with whatever the topic is.
Yeah, one of your recent shows was low-level politics.
Yes.
How do you decide on your themes?
So a lot of times we build the theme around the guests that we book. We find, like, we have a list of themes that we want to do in the next year, but oftentimes we're just like, hey, let's see whoever we can get and then, like, kind of build a show around them. We were lucky to have Luke Olson on that show, who's a district leader, which is a position I had never heard of. But he was able to educate people on what's going on with, like, this current election year in New York.
It's interesting because, urban planning, even for the biggest nerds, it can be dense for most people.
Yes.
How do you go about making it fun, making it accessible for folks?
Yeah, I think, we don't want to be like condescending or preachy in the show or anything. We want, we assume that like they have a base level knowledge, but our guests are often really good at explaining what they're an expert at, and then to make it fun, I, as Moses, can also be an idiot, can also not really know what's going on and have to have things explained to me. So that's kind of the approach that, opens the door for people.
One of our listeners called in to say that Robert Moses was on the Tom Snyder show in the 70s.
I'm sure he was.
That's really interesting that he would put himself in that position.
I believe he even had his own TV show.
Yeah.
Yes, he had a public access show for a little bit as well. Yeah.
So the show describes you as someone who read The Power Broker before it was cool. Okay, well, that's a discussion in itself. But no, it is. When do you think that shift happened? Because for a while, everybody was starting to reread The Power Broker or read it for the first time.
Yeah, I think again, 99% Invisible played a role in that in 2024. I think even before that, with the way the federal government has been in the last, 10 years or so, I think people have wanted to sort of go back a little bit and see if they can dig up like what happened, how we got here. And I think especially in New York with New York politics, Moses played a really big role in that. I'm not surprised that there was like a big explosion of interest in the book. I mean, there's another show at Caveat that is about the Power Broker as well.
Wow.
Yes, that's also popular. So yeah, it is kind of this wave of interest in him. I know that like they're trying to make a Netflix television show based on the book as well.
Matthew Rhys, right?
Yes, with Matthew Rhys. Yes. Also Matthew Rhys, if you're listening, hey, come on the show and promote it.
So I have a question. This is like sort of the serious question out of this group is that, Moses could be a mean figure,
Yes.
right? He was especially racist towards black and brown New Yorkers.
Mm-hmm.
How do you consider that history as you were looking for humor or if you're looking for a subject to discuss?
Yeah, there are some heavy things that are inherent with the book, and yeah, there is a lot of that history, and like we try to handle it as delicately as we can. And also allow people more educated than us to be the ones to really delve into it and discuss it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who's your audience?
Yeah, so it's a really like eclectic kind of diverse group. We get a lot of like teachers, a lot of people who work in like accessible and affordable housing come to our show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we have like some urban planning students. Like we had a big group of urban planning students come. And we also have, like other fellow comedians and people who are just interested in comedy show up. Yeah, it's a pretty diverse group. Evan used to flyer outside of the Transit Museum, which had a big Moses exhibit recent. I think it's still going on. So yeah, we just got people from kind of all walks of life who are interested in urbanism.
We are discussing The Power Joker, a Robert Moses comedy special. It's a monthly show at Caveat on the Lower East Side. My guest is comedian Sam Rogal. Am I saying it right?
Rogal, yeah.
Rogal, who plays Moses and is one of the show's creators. You can catch the next show on March 22nd at 5 p.m. In the month before the show, what kind of prep are you doing?
So our focus really is about making the show funny, right? That's what the creative team wants to do. So that's me, Evan Barden. We also have some other comedians who sort of fill out the show. Will Jacobs, who plays Nelson Rockefeller on the show, who is sort of the one man who like took Moses down. We also have Adrian Ianciello and Fallon Bowles, who sort of are our Swiss Army knife people who like can play like Jane Jacobs, his wives, like other people, like his brother, like yes, like all those other characters from the book that sort of come up to give the show some sort of arc as well.
You have to sort of appeal to people in the audience on a general level, but like you said, you have a lot of people who are interested in deep cuts.
Yes. Oh,
on
yeah.
The Power Broker.
Yes.
What are some examples of some deep cuts that you've gotten into?
Yeah. So I always have a yellow legal pad with me on the show, which is something that Moses used like throughout his career. So that's like a little nod. Again, yeah, we like to pull like little tidbits from the book, like things between him and Rockefeller, things between him and all the mayors, like all the different mayors and governors that he worked with and those he clashed with and agreed with. Like we had someone who played Fiorello LaGuardia on the show, things like that allow those who have read the book to feel welcome as well.
How much do you use physical comedy in this show? Because he was described in a certain way.
Yeah, some. I do the monologue sort of out, standing on stage. I am a very physical person. I'm a big gesturer, as I'm sure you're seeing live right now. I allow my body to sort of radiate comedy during the show as well.
So there's a musical aspect to the show.
Yes.
What role does music play in The Power Joker?
So that's more just to like break up the show. Again, have the show sort of match the format of a late night show that has a musical guest, just to give people like a little bit of a breather. It's a 90-minute show, so we want to give people like a little bit of a break and yeah, just like relax and listen to some good music. Yeah.
Where were you when you found out Zoran Mandami would be on your show?
Okay, so this is it's a fascinating story. So we asked him in February of last year when he was polling at like 6%, and at that time was sort of seen as like, an outsider candidate who's going to get a chance to put these ideas out there and maybe in the future we'll see him. And we were a little surprised he said yes then. And then
you were like, is that you? Are you punking me? Is that him?
Literally. And then between February and May, as we all remember, he became like a very legitimate candidate all of a sudden. And we were so worried that he was going to drop out because we were like, he's going to have to do actual important stuff now. And I thought he was going to drop out until the moment he walked in the door. But hey, he kept his commitment. He spent a full hour with us. We did like a mock debate on stage. Where he we'd ask a question, he would answer it, and then Moses would sort of respond as, to how Moses would feel about whatever the policy he was talking about. Yeah, and he had a lot of fun with us. Like he was fantastic. It was so cool to have him.
If you had to have a list of A-list guests you'd like to have on your show, now is your time.
I know. I mean, we definitely want Caro. Again, that's our really big one. We've been trying. We want, I mean, I would love to get Colbert on as well, to allow, because our show is so styled after him. Yeah, like Seth Meyers would be great too. Basically like anyone connected with the city, anyone who lives like Lin-Manuel Miranda is another person we've really wanted because all of his stuff is so about New York. Like In the Heights is about how that neighborhood functions, right? Even Hamilton, he talks about putting the city together a little bit and the city's economy and things like that. Like he really loves New York so much that we'd love to have him on as well.
What is something that you haven't been able to accomplish with the show and that you're really kind of working on?
Yeah, we really want to expand and we want to grow and we want the show to be accessible to people who live outside of New York as well. And we really want our like internet presence to be a little more, a little stronger. Like we want to get our YouTube channel a little stronger, a few more followers so that, we'd love to in the future, like be able to take this show to Philadelphia and do a Philadelphia show, take the show to Toronto and do a Toronto show, do shows about these other cities and allow them to have the same experience.
Do you think Robert Moses is that well known that you could take it around the country?
That's a great question. Probably not. I don't know. Maybe. I think, again, like the book is getting more popular. He is getting a little more known. I think the success here leads us to believe that there is a population out there who are familiar with the book and familiar with him and are interested in just like how your city functions on a basic level.
We got a text regarding his public access show. It said, it was a disaster, according to Caro. He ignored his guests and just lectured in monotone to the camera.
I am not at all surprised about that. He is not a charismatic person. He is not like, he's not Mr. Personality. You know what I mean?
All right. Your next show is on March 22nd. What is planned?
So we have Jane August, and it is a show themed around New York museums. And Jane is a person who had a big social media project a few years ago where she went to all 150 museums in New York. We're going to talk about what role the museum plays in the city, what museums are thriving, what museums need your help. And just how museums bring people to New York. And then we also have a show April 11th. At 7 p.m., and that is our New York in Movies show.
Oh, cool.
Yes, where we have our guests are Griffin Newman and David Sims from the Blank Check podcast. David is a film critic for The Atlantic. Griffin is an actor. They both are New Yorkers. And we're going to talk about how like the film industry, again, like how it buoys New York, what the process for filming in New York is like, how it helps the city, and how it brings attention to it.
The show is called The Power Joker, a Robert Moses comedy special. It's at Caveat on the Lower East Side. My guest has been Sam Rogal. Thank you so much for being with us. The next show is on March 22nd at 5 p.m. Thanks, Sam.
Hey, thank you.